Wrong way. It's Ghost Queen. Hi, guys. Oh my God. The chaos, the craziness. Hey, Lady Norn. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it's perfect timing. I'm, of course, running late. What else is new? And, oh, got to turn my volume down on my phone. Hi. What's happening? I could not stream yesterday. Did I stream Sunday night? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, I think I did briefly Sunday night. But hey Dreama, it's just been a chaotic few days. That just seems to be the norm here. That seems to be the norm for my life. Chaos, madness, craziness. Never dull though, never boring. So yeah, just been busy. There's been a lot going on. I feel like I just need more time every day. Like I could use, I don't know, let's say maybe 6 more hours to the day. And then I'd be good. Always a lot to do, always too much to do, and never enough time. I think that just happens as you get older. But yeah, so here I am tonight, and I didn't eat yet, so I'll just stream until I'm ready to like gnaw off my own hand. Hey Carla, how are you? Good to see you back again. Thanks for coming. So, let me catch you up a little bit on what's been going on. So, as you know, I had the puppies here and the puppy madness. And basically, I think I already told you guys, like, basically on Saturday, she came and took the puppies. She had decided she was going to didn't want to adopt them all out and um, was going to give three, I guess, to her mom, and she's going to keep one. So she came and got the mama and the pups back. So, and then we officially adopted Nix, who I showed you, and she's adorable. So I've just been busy with the new puppy. That's been taking up a lot of my time. And catching up on some sleep and whatnot. Hey, Purple Quartz, how are you? Good to see you, Teresa. So, yeah, so I've been catching up on sleep, and then the puppy, of course, is just, it's like having a baby in the house. Really, it's like having a little baby. So, I'm cuddling with her a lot, and then that's making me sleepy. So, like, I've been dozing with her in the chair a lot, but it's good. I needed to catch up on some sleep, so that's fine. And and then yesterday just seemed to be a crazy day. Mondays are always a little crazy. I can remember years back when I had like, young kids at home and everything. And my ex husband really wasn't seeing the kids hardly at all. So, like, I would have the kids all weekend. And then come Monday, it would be like Monday would be like my day off because I'd be flat out with the kids all weekend. And so like I would never schedule an appointment on a Monday because it was always like my time, my day off. And I still have that mindset a little bit. I hate to do like I don't know appointments and stuff on Mondays. I don't know, it's some weird thing that's just left over from those days. But we did have a pretty busy day yesterday. So it started out with um, well, actually, the day kind of started with my oncologist. My oncologist called me and told me that some of my test results came back not great. So I have to go, but not that bad because they don't want to see me till the end of February. So that's not that bad. Um, and I have a cream I have to use. So my insurance won't cover it. Okay. If I don't use this cream, I could get cancer. But for some reason, my insurance doesn't feel the need to cover this, right? And guess how much it costs out of pocket? Like $350, okay? And it's for these little teeny packets of cream. Like, who the fuck could afford that? If, unless you're like, wealthy. I mean, that is insane, insane. So luckily, my oncologist had like these cards that I guess give you a little bit of a discount. So it only ended up costing us like 75 bucks. But still, that makes me crazy. And I can only imagine people who have like real serious diseases and trying to afford some of their medication. This to me is insanity. It's insanity that they can charge. I mean, it's just a racket. It's total bullshit, and I think just like a huge scam. And it makes me crazy, crazy, crazy angry. So I hate that kind of shit. Anyway, so we finally picked up this medication. So basically, that's why I don't have to go back till the end of February, because it's like use the stuff for a while, see if it works, I guess. I just don't want to have laser surgery again. So we'll see what happens. Oh, thank you, honey. So that's the next thing. So it was time to do my hair again. And I have to, since I started doing the pink and the purple, I have to bleach on top. So rather than bleach my whole head, which of course every time you bleach your hair, it's damaging. It's very damaging to your hair. And years ago, before I went to the crazy colors, I used to have sort of auburn color hair. That was my kind of natural hair color, kind of brown, light brown slash auburn. Like I had natural red highlights. But what I used to do was, because I'm allergic to like normal hair dye, I don't know why this fucking origin keeps opening up on my screen. Um, because I'm allergic to regular hair dye, I would use henna, like a red henna, um, to just make my hair look more red. And and then I started, doing the crazy colors, and I was using like Manic Panic and stuff. But what I found with Manic Panic is that it doesn't last a long time. It washes out really quickly. And if you keep your hair, with these crazy colors all the time and you do it yourself, the goal is to have it last as long as possible so you're not doing your hair every 2 flipping minutes, right? So, I've been using for quite a while, ever since I stuck with purple, I've been using mostly Pravana, Chromasilk Vivids, because I found that brand lasted the longest and didn't wash out as quickly. Okay. But then the pink is kind of a new thing for me. So last time I had used a couple of different things, but then I used a Pravana neon pink that I thought I really liked. So I had Wayne order some for me off eBay, and I don't know if there was something wrong with this batch or whatever, but I got 2 tubes and it just wouldn't take. Like I bleached just my roots, so I didn't do my whole head to try to, not damage my hair too much, more than it already is. I just bleached my roots. But I put on the pink and it was not, I used like one whole tube, nothing. It was like barely there. And I left it on for a good couple of hours. So I was pissed. So that's like, okay, day one, done, and my hair's not done. Okay. Then it was like day two. I used the other, well, so I tried this other stuff that I had here, but I didn't realize it was purple, not pink. So then I had a whole head of purple, and I'm like, fuck, I wanted pink on top. So then I had to go out and buy the Color Oops, which does work. If you ever screw up with hair dye, I had never used Color Oops before, but I bought it. It worked great. Not only did it take out the purple on the top of my head, it took out my old purple on the bottom. So, like, I pretty much was stripped down to like a bleach, just bleached out hair again. So, it definitely works, and that was pretty cool. It only takes like 20 minutes. You leave it on your hair for 20 minutes, then you get in the shower. It says to rinse for 20 minutes. to get the most color out, I did not rinse that long. I probably only rinsed for like 5 or 10 minutes, and that it was done. It was a wrap. It got all the color out. So yeah, if you ever need it, Color Oops really works. So then I tried to use the other tube of the Pravana Neon Pink, and same thing. It just didn't fucking work. And so then I was pissed. So today we went out to Sally's. After I did some research last night, we went to Sally's and I got a new kind of hair dye. And that's what I used on top to get this really bright pink. I'm going to get close to the camera so you can see it's a really neon pink. Okay? Very bright. Like, I'm going to take a picture of myself outside in the daylight tomorrow, and you're going to see how bright pink this is. And I want to show you what it is because I love it and I want to recommend it. Hold on, I'm going to grab it. I should have grabbed it first, but I didn't. So this is the Pravana that I usually use, Chroma Silk Vivids. This is the purple that I use, which is, it's violet. You can see there, violet. And this is what it looks like. Now, this purple I love, and it works really well for me, and it does not wash out quickly. It really holds better than anything I've seen, okay? But I decided to try a new pink because this, like I say, I don't know if it was the batch or whatever, but then as I was doing some research, I saw some other people saying they didn't quite like that neon pink by Pravana. And in my research, I came across this, and there were such good reviews about it that I decided to try it. So this is what I tried. I don't know that I know how to pronounce this. Iroiro, I guess is what I would guess. I haven't heard anyone ever say it, so I don't know how you pronounce it. But what I will say about this hair dye, first of all, it comes in this little tube, you know, or little packet rather, and I used one for the whole top of my head, and it was enough. And it's 100% vegan and cruelty free, and it's made with 95% natural ingredients, and I guess the most of that being coconut oil. And so, and it is only semi-permanent, but I heard it lasts a really long time. And this is the neon pink, and it's UV reactive, which is cool. So like essentially you would glow under a black light, which is kind of cool, especially if you're ghost hunting. So yeah, I really liked, it's got no peroxide, no ammonia, no alcohol. So this is probably better for you, for your hair, than a lot of the harsher products. And I thought it looked great. Like, it's very bright, very vibrant. That's what I like to see, and it can be hard to find sometimes. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this stuff. I would definitely recommend it. Of course, I'm going to see how well it lasts in my hair, but I was pretty pleased with the color. Very bright. Exactly what I was looking for. Exactly the color I was looking for. So that was good. So it only took me 3 fucking days to get the hair that I wanted. And of course, then I had to redo the purple on the bottom. But I'm liking this half and half sort of look. Then I was finally done, and I looked with a mirror at the back of my head, and I missed like this whole huge patch in the back. So tomorrow I'm going to have Wayne help me to fill in this last little patch, and then I'll finally be done. But like sometimes I have to do my hair like every 2 weeks, and it's a project. So I definitely don't want it to take like 3 or 4 days. You know what I'm saying? So that was part of the drama, was the hair thing. Now the hair thing's done. So, no crown tonight, no nothing. I finally got my hair done, so I'm like, yeah, we're just having my plain hair. Um, yeah. And I bought a new pink polish too to try to match the hair, which I don't have on yet, but I'm gonna maybe do that tomorrow. So that's the crazy hair story. So like I've been walking around the neighborhood and like out shopping and stuff with like weird crazy hair for the past few days. It was funny. So that's that story. And then what else? So then yesterday we had a little bit of a funny with Wayne. So with all the craziness with all the dogs we've had around here, we have this little dog Roxy that my neighbors next door own, and basically I have this 20-year-old neighbor, and he got this dog, I think, to be a companion probably for this dog that they have that's older, and a sheepdog, and or I think it's an Australian sheepdog or shepherd or whatever. Anyway, so this little dog Roxy, when they got her, I happened to find her as a pup, like a real small little puppy, hiding under a truck like across the street. And I thought she was a stray. So, because we get a ton of strays here. And I took her in the house, gave her a flea bath, had her overnight. And it was only the next day that my neighbor saw her over here and was like, "Oh, that's my new dog, Roxy." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, here you go." Like I found her cowering and I thought she was a stray. I was going to bring her to the shelter. So I think that sort of endeared Roxy to me. And the thing is that this 20-year-old, he's just never home. He's always either working or out. He's 20. So I think he made a mistake in getting this dog as a companion for the other dog because it's too young. Like the other dog's old and, low energy, and this dog is like crazy hyper and young. So Roxy's always over here following me like my shadow when I'm outside, and I'm outside a lot. And she's over here playing with Juju and whatnot. And it gets on my nerves sometimes because she is always around and she's not my dog. And then it gets on Wayne's nerves too. So anyway, the story is Wayne was outside and he was flying his drone, and he had been using the drone to kind of scare Roxy off at times, and it did scare her off and she would run home. But she must have just gotten her brave up or whatever, and this time she grabbed the drone and she took off with it. Wayne took off in pursuit, mad. He went running, and it's been really wet here and very sloppy, and he slipped in the mud and fell, and then he was pissed. So he went like and yelled at the guy's father, who also lives next door, and just was mad and kind of lost his temper a little bit. And then he felt so bad later after he changed and got his muddy clothes off and calmed down. Then he felt really bad and he went over and apologized to the guy, which was very, mature of him to do that. I was proud of him for doing the right thing and apologizing. And then it turns out that the guy knows his dad, and the guy ended up offering him a job. So it was like this big funny story, funny day. And yeah, so that was that craziness. And then I also got a court date because people who know me well know I'm involved in a custody battle that's very upsetting, and feels like a lot of injustice occurred. Um, Too long a story for me to go into tonight, but suffice it to say that this has been going on for quite some time. It's very upsetting for me, very emotional, and a lot of stress, and a very long process, and seems that it takes too long. Um, It's frustrating. It's stressful. And I finally got a court date, and I've been waiting for this court date. So it's for St. Patrick's Day. So that was a little bit of positive just because I've been trying to make this happen since, I don't know, mm, pretty much March of last year. So yeah, it only took me a fucking year. I mean, it's insane. I don't even want to start talking about it because I'll get too mad. So that's that. And yeah, we'll be going up to Massachusetts for that. So um, that's that story. And Wayne might be able to see some snow. He's always wanting to see snow. He gets like so excited about snow, and I'm like, yeah, that's because you've never had to shovel it on a regular basis because it sucks ass. But being a New Englander that had like almost 50 years of it, I don't really miss it. I really don't. I don't miss the snow. I don't miss the super cold temperatures or the snow. That is one thing I really love about Louisiana is the milder weather. Although the summers here suck ass, not gonna lie, way too hot. So yeah, all sorts of crazy stuff happening around here. Just busy, 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 go, go, go. And then also, no, 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 no. And then also on Sunday, we went to, well, it was really strange. Like, Sarah, I think I told you on Sunday, because I briefly streamed Sunday night. So Saturday night, I heard from two people who were having sort of paranormal type issues. So Sunday, we did go and, or was it Monday? No, it was Sunday. It was Sunday. We went and met with this little girl, Gabby, that I met, and her grandmother and her mother. I met with the three of them, and Wayne was there also. And yeah, we did a spirit box session and everything. And I heard back from the grandma, or mama, as they say here in the South. I heard back from her today, and they're still having some issues. She really does feel like she wants me to come back. So, yeah, I'm at least going to go back and cleanse the house. Maybe Wayne and I will just do a full investigation. We'll see. I have to talk to him about it a little bit more. Um, so that's going on. Lots of stuff happening. And yeah, that's about it, I guess. It seems like more. It seems like it was just like blah, blah, blah madness for days. But I guess after I retell it, it doesn't seem as crazy. But it seemed crazy here. So yeah, I know. I would love to do an investigation there, a Civil War investigation. That would be awesome. So busy, busy, busy. I'm not prepared to really dive into the Sims case tonight because I just need to get a little bit more set up and organized before I do that. So I'm going to try to do the Sims tomorrow night. I need a day to just really take notes and get myself prepared and organized for that. So I'm not going to do that tonight. Um, shoot for tomorrow night for the Sims case. And then I did want to just briefly talk about this tonight. Um, Tonight will just be a chit chatty stream, but I wanted to talk briefly about this. Um, well, a couple things actually. So I know for a lot of people, death can be a really difficult topic. From knowing people that I have over the years, like for instance, I knew someone from Louisiana actually. This is long before I ever moved here. Um, and she had lost a child. I'm not going to give out her information because I haven't talked to her in a while. She doesn't even know I'm going to bring this up. But I'm not going to say how or any of it. I'm just going to say she lost a young child, and she was someone I had been in a parenting group with, and I was very friendly with, and I know for people that lose a family member that is, not like an older person. Like, it's one thing if you have like a grandfather, let's say, who's 95 and he passes away in his sleep. That's different. That's a different type of death than if you lose a child, or if you lose, as in Wayne's case, losing a brother at a young age, 24, I think Patrick was when he passed. It's like that's different. That's losing someone at a time that's not, these are accidents. Both of these deaths were accidents. So, you know, it's not the natural rhythm of things. It's not someone just living out their life and dying of old age. It's a tragic death. And when somebody loses someone close to them that way, whether it's a family member or just a loved one, um, it's very shocking. It's very traumatic. And I know from talking to people over the years that oftentimes what ends up happening is they feel like the person is like really forgotten, because it's like a lot of people just don't want to bring it up. They're afraid that they're going to upset um, the person who's had the loss. And so they feel uncomfortable about it and they don't want to bring it up, after like some time has passed. But from speaking to these people who have had these types of losses, they do want to talk about, especially mothers who have lost children. They usually do want to talk about the children that they've lost because they don't want the child's memory to fade. You know, they want to feel like that child is still somehow in their life and a part of them, which of course it always will be. The child will always be part of them and part of their life. And as such, they want to talk about that child. They want to remember the child and remember the good happy memories and all that stuff. Um, so, and me being me, I'm the type of person where I don't really mind bringing it up or talking about it because I don't necessarily. Um, and so my point is, in my long-winded roundabout way, is there's this whole sort of thing now to be what they call death positive and to have like a death culture where you can sort of discuss death a little bit more openly um, and positively, as the term suggests, so that we can stop having it be such a taboo thing that we don't talk about or that we feel uncomfortable talking about, because usually people who experience a loss, they do need to talk and they want to talk. It's just that people feel so awkward and uncomfortable because they don't know what to say or how to say it, and they're afraid of saying the wrong thing, that, you know, they would just avoid the topic or avoid the subject or avoid the person, even worse. And usually, I mean, everyone's different and everyone has a different style on what they need for grieving and what they need for comfort and whatnot. And of course, you should be respectful of what that person needs. But I've seen more people needing more than what they're getting than not. So yeah, I just think this is a topic and a conversation I'd like to talk about more as time goes on, and I'd like to get input as well um, from viewers who have had a loss, perhaps themselves, or I'd like to hear what everybody thinks about this topic. Is that something you struggle with? Do you feel uncomfortable bringing it up if you've you know if you have somebody in your life that's had a loss? Do you feel comfortable talking about it? Do you not? I think these are conversations that we need to have. And so part of what was making me think about all this was also like there's a big thing about like celebrity deaths. And when a celebrity passes, that's always all over the news and a huge topic of conversation, especially if it's like a younger type death. So I'm talking obviously about Kobe Bryant just passed. We were actually um, at Gabby's home, talking with them about their paranormal situation when we heard that Kobe Bryant and his daughter had passed. And of course, that is very tragic. Um, but the thing is that people die every day all over the world, and I guess my point is that we need to be just as compassionate and just as open with discussion as we are with these famous people. I mean, you know, every day people have these kinds of deaths and happen to them and their families and stuff, and these people need to be recognized and acknowledged, and you know we need to have compassion for them just as much. So um, yeah, I think this is a topic that I'd like to open up the conversation, is what I'm saying, and maybe do a little bit more research myself and talk about it a little bit more in the future. I was looking into becoming a death doula. This is like a whole sort of new thing that's becoming more popular. Um, and yeah, it's just overall, I think how we treat the elderly as well here in the United States, I just don't feel that we have the reverence and respect for our elderly people that they do in other cultures, and I'd like to see that change as well. Um, so, yeah, there's a lot of topics related to death that I would like to talk about more in the future. Um, you know, Being a paranormal person, I don't really support celebrity ghost box sessions, primarily because I feel that they're done too close to the death. I don't think I would mind so much if someone was doing a celebrity ghost box session, trying to contact someone that died maybe 10 years ago. That's different. But it seems like in the paranormal, if someone's going to do a celebrity ghost box session, they're trying to contact someone that just passed. And these people, even if they're celebrities, they still have family members that are grieving. And imagine how upset you would be to come across something like that. So that's why I don't support celebrity ghost box sessions if the person has just passed. You know, Give it a couple of years or something. It's not respectful to the families. So I don't support that, and we don't do that here, obviously. So yeah. Um, so that's that story. Now the next thing I did want to bring up, just because I did have somebody contacting me about this, a friend, somebody I know, which would be, I'm not going to bring up the person's name because I'm not out to, crucify anyone online. Um, that's not my goal, or here. It's not the point. But we've talked before about how there are sort of, at one point, I saw the paranormal YouTube community shifting, okay? Where it kind of went in two different directions. It went in the direction, one way, of people who are sort of what I consider more serious paranormal people who are just in it to learn or help people or research or create, um, whatever, build equipment, investigate, that whole thing. And then you had the other direction, which was more entertainment YouTube, which is, you know, going on ghost hunts and having a younger audience of like teenagers, let's say, or younger people, maybe kids in their 20s or whatever. What I would still kind of consider kids, even though they're adults. um, young adults, let's say. So you would have like, and to me, this is like the live sci-fi, proving demons. Oh, what's that other person that I'm thinking of that? Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. But you know what I'm saying? Like, where there's a lot of drama, a lot of, you know, doing a ghost hunt and a lot of gasping and screaming and acting afraid and running and, and not really the viewer necessarily seeing anything that tremendous, or even some faking. Like, I'm not going to say who's faking, who's not faking, but certainly there's accusations of fakery. Um, and it's sort of by people that are serious in the paranormal, they look at these people as, yeah, drama. It's more about drama. It's more about, let's build up a big, huge YouTube channel and get a lot of views. And that's going to be mostly the younger people. It's going to be a younger audience. That's their target audience, is younger people. Whether those are teenagers or young adults, that's the target audience. And it's Zozo and Charlie Charlie and, you know what I'm saying. It's more about the show. It's more about entertainment. It's not, I don't think it's even meant to be all that serious. And there's been a lot of people who come out and condemn these people, but I guess I just haven't felt the need to, because to me it went in a very clear split. And anybody who knows anything can identify very quickly and easily who's in which camp. Okay? And yeah, Bloody Mary, right, exactly. That whole thing, where it's more about being campy and silly and fun and horror movie themed, ghost story around the campfire stuff. Okay? It's more about entertainment and fun. And we've talked about how being afraid can be fun, and I get it. And that's a whole separate thing, and I just don't condemn those people the way that I see some of my peers do, because I just don't feel the need to. I don't know that, I guess some people feel that those creators are harming the paranormal because they're making us look bad. That's one of the arguments, is they're making us look bad because they fake and they do whatever, and so nobody's going to take us seriously and blah 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 blah. I mean, even Steve Huff I sort of see as that more, entertainment type avenue, with the celebrity ghost box sessions and all that. um, so maybe it isn't as easy for the occasional viewer to tell who is who, but anybody really involved in the field knows who's who. Okay. And I don't feel a need to attack those people that are in that entertainment camp. However, this was brought to my attention. I'm going to touch upon it. It was brought to my attention that someone is claiming on a YouTube channel, regularly claiming possession, and that an autistic individual. See, now I haven't researched this at all. I haven't seen the video or the stream. I don't know if it's still up. I don't know if this person is genuinely autistic or if they have comorbid diagnoses. I don't know the situation at all. I don't know the person. I haven't even looked into it. However, I don't feel necessarily that I need to, because my point will probably be the same whether I see it or don't see it. So evidently the story is that this, let's just say, special needs person, because I don't know what all their special needs are, um, then became convinced themselves that they were undergoing oppression, attachment, possession, I don't know what exactly, but that they were also being affected. And the person who contacted me about this was sort of up in arms because they believe the person who's claiming possession in the first place is faking it. And that now you've got people who perhaps are dealing with, now he used the word mental illness, and I will say autism is not a mental illness. I'm just going to say that. Okay. However, that's not really the point. The point is that, let's say someone with special needs, and like I say, who knows, maybe other comorbid conditions, is then being influenced to believe that they're dealing with something that perhaps they are not. So I think you get my point. I don't think I need to go into too much depth there. I think you get what I'm saying. So, is this a problem, and how do we deal with it? I do think it deserves conversation. I do. Um, Now, that doesn't mean that I would handle situations the same way that everyone else would. I probably would not. I would probably handle things a lot more differently than other people would. Um, but in light of the fact that, hey, Raquel, how are you, honey? In light of the fact that, let's say, YouTube just went through this whole big thing with Onision, and Onision perhaps targeting underage women on via this platform, once again, does this then present a possible problem for YouTube? Could YouTube get sued over something like this? I can see this being a problem, you know, and it's worthy of conversation. And I'm surprised no one else is talking about this yet, actually. I certainly haven't heard anyone talking about this. But you could see a case there. I could. Especially if you're dealing with an individual that has special needs, or, might be mentally ill. Now, this was not taking place in America, so there's that. Um, I think in the US it would probably be easier to sue because we're a sue happy country. But you see what I'm saying? It's worthy of a conversation. Um, what kind of responsibility does the creator hold? What kind of responsibility does YouTube hold? What kind of responsibility does the viewer hold? What are the legalities of all this? I do think it's an interesting conversation to have, and something we should start thinking about. I don't know we could have the whole conversation tonight, because it's a lot to think about, but and it's probably a lot to look into as well, as far as like the legal issues and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's something to think about. And do I think this person? Like I say, I'm not going to get into any names whatsoever. I'm trying to keep it very vague and very general here. Um, but do I think that the person is truly possessed? No, I don't. I'm just going to state that straight off the bat. No, I don't. I don't think that's a person with a genuine possession. Um, so if they are convincing their audience that that is that they're being authentic and genuine, and then creating a situation where someone is believing something that is a delusion, that's a problem. That is a problem. And I guess that's really all I'm going to say about it tonight. My opinion was asked for. That's my opinion. Um, and I do think it's worthy of conversation, at least. Now, I don't support bullying, and I don't support bullying people no matter what the situation is. I'm not into bullying. I don't think we should be doing that. It's not the way to handle anything. However, um, since the paranormal is such like a wild, wild west type field, I do think we are obligated to have these conversations and that they're important, because there is no set standard and there is no governing body. So we do need to have these conversations and talk about these things. Absolutely. Um, so, yeah, it's something to think about. I don't, I wanted to talk about it in a serious way so that it's not like a drama thing, because that's not my intention. My intention is not to shit stir or create drama, but I do think it's worthy of a conversation. It's a valid issue, certainly. And there is no reason why we can't talk about these things reasonably and figure out reasonable solutions. Um, so, yeah, perhaps what will happen. Well, right. I mean, that is the goal for a lot of people is they want to be on television, and fair enough. I don't knock that, but I don't know. It's a slippery slope, and I guess that the best advice I have right now for these types of things is that if you're a person that's in the paranormal or you have an interest in it or whatnot, you, you can't support them by giving them the views. You know, it's hard because a lot of times people want to go see these things sort of like a sideshow, like it's like watching a train wreck or car accident. You can't help but slow down and take a peek. But if you really want to truly solve the problem, I think the best thing I can think of off the top of my head is to not support the people with the views, and I don't really know how else to deal with it. I mean, I guess you could try to engage them in conversation as long as it's respectful. Um, just because you don't agree with something that somebody's doing doesn't mean you can't handle it in a respectful manner, Um, that's the best I've got for right now, I guess. Even if you think you see someone doing something wrong, that doesn't mean that you have to humiliate and shame them. That's my personal opinion. Um, but I'm a softie in some ways, and like I'm compassionate toward all people. I try to be. Um, so everyone makes mistakes and everyone does things wrong sometimes. So I don't think that means they're they need to be nailed to the fucking cross just because they are doing something wrong. I don't think, and I think that's the way internet people tend to handle things. It's like if you find somebody on the internet you think is doing something wrong, it's like, let's fucking crucify them. And then you get the mob mentality, and it's like, and I don't think things necessarily have to be handled that way, nor do I think that necessarily works to solve the problem. So it might just create more problems. So I think it's a delicate situation how to handle this shit. And I'm not claiming to know all the answers, but I would like to think, if nothing else, maybe I can help try to keep everyone involved a little bit stable and sane, you know, and reasonable. Maybe not, but that's the type of person I am, that I would at least try to attempt to do that. So, yeah. Um, so that's that conversation. I know we all like a little bit of drama. Look, everybody loves a little bit of drama, and I don't mind lighthearted stuff, but I don't like anything that I'm going to see someone getting really hurt. I just, that's just me. I'm not, if it's going to hurt somebody, it's not going to entertain me. It really isn't. I don't like to see people getting hurt. Um, I think that life is hard enough, and people encounter enough suffering and pain in their everyday lives without creating more for them. That's just my personal opinion. So, and I think that the internet can be a particularly nasty place, and a place where people turn to sort of deal with angst that they have in their own life and project it onto fucking someone else. I think that happens a lot. So, um, yeah, you certainly see, like, people behaving in ways online that you don't think they would behave like if you met them on the street. So, yeah, I'd like to see less of that, keyboard warrior mentality, and a little bit more reasonable behavior when it comes to online interactions. Sue me! That's how I feel about it. So, that's that story. Moving along. What else was I going to talk about tonight? I feel like I had another topic I wanted to bring up. Oh, but I know it might need a minute now to think about it. What do you guys think about, like, shows like Live Sci-Fi? I think he just got a TV show, didn't he? I heard. Speaking of, I heard he got a TV show. Now, I don't know that individual. I know who he is. I'm not friends with him, uh, but I don't think everything he was doing on YouTube was 100% real. I just don't. So I'm not gonna, schmooze up to him now that he's got a TV show. Like, I don't know. Doesn't mean I dislike him. I don't like him or dislike him. I don't know him, but um, I'm pretty sure, yeah, all his paranormal YouTube stuff wasn't real. So, yeah. Do you guys like to watch that? Even that type of stuff, even if you know some of it is fake and some of it is dramatized? Is it still entertaining? Is that something you want to continue to see? Or would you prefer to see it always be 100% real, even if it's sometimes boring, which it can be? You don't have nonstop activity a lot of the time. So, this is where the whole sort of dramatizing of the paranormal started, is because sometimes you don't have activity and then it's not so exciting. You can't have it both ways, you know what I'm saying? So, we like to be afraid. We like horror movies and we like all that stuff, don't we? Somebody recommended a documentary to me that I really want to see. And I might, if I can find it tonight, I might watch it and then I'll talk about it tomorrow and recommend it to you guys if I like it. Oh, you don't go out of your way to look for para YouTubers? It certainly, I will say, it certainly seems to only be growing. The interest in the paranormal just seems to be getting more and more mainstream all the time. So, again, I do think these are valid, important conversations to be having. Um, I think at some point there will have to be some sort of standards set, some sort of governing body, authoritative organization to sort of come up with some sort of standards and ethics and mission statements and this whole sort of thing. At some point, there's going to have to be some cohesion within the field. That's my personal opinion. Mary says, like I said, when I first started watching YouTube vids, I used to like it, but over time he got more gimmicky and I want the real stuff, so I kind of quickly stopped watching when he started the dramatics. Lady Norn says, I don't trust him. I'd rather ghost hunt myself. Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, it's an individual thing, you know, and like I say, I don't really judge. Like, I can't just condemn someone because they're choosing that route because I understand why they would. Um, it's not my choice, it's not my path, but I don't necessarily condemn someone because that's the way that they're going. I think I might be a little bit more comfortable if they were very open about that, but I guess that would ruin some of the fun now, wouldn't it? So, it's hard. Um, like I say, if you're somebody who's been in the field for a while, then, it's not hard to spot who's who. But for other people, it might be more difficult. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough thing. But like I say, I think these are good things to think about. So, moving along, I don't want to spend too long on that. I love this Nike squeeze bottle. I keep like Kool-Aid in there, my grape Kool-Aid. Mmm. Someday I'll grow up, probably by the time it's too late. Vape them if you've got them. I'm vaping off my little Zeus vape here, my banana cream pie. I was talking to someone in Katie's chat who recommended a bubblegum to me that I think I'm going to look for and try because I'm still on the hunt for a good bubblegum vape. And what do I have in this one? In my Vupu 2, I think I still got that kind of like French crumble, sort of French toast type vape. I used to watch Huff till I figured he was getting excited more about EVPs instead of what was coming out of his box. Well, there's been some people who have sort of proven that he uses uh, like ASMR clips, you know, like he's faking shit essentially. And there's been multiple videos that have proven that. I feel proven it pretty well. So yeah, right. Yeah, that must be a challenge to find wheelchair accessible places to go ghost hunt. Certainly, I would think that would be a challenge. But you don't have to, if communication is solely your goal, you don't have, I truly am one of those people that believes there's spirits everywhere. You can pretty much get communication anywhere. That's me. That's my personal opinion. Um, yeah. So I did want to just mention this. Not that I'm going to constantly push you towards my TV shows, but I do want to bring this up. I'm still watching Mindhunter, and they have a little. One of the episodes deals with Charles Manson, where the FBI people go in and they interview Manson in jail. And I have to say, it was done really well. The guy who played Manson, I thought he did a great job. The actor, he really just did well. He just acted the part so well. It was so believable. He seemed so much like Manson, and it was a really cool little scene. Um, and there's another serial killer in the show that was a serial killer I had never heard of before. Um, oh, I'm gonna have to look him up now. But the way that they portray this character in the show does make him seem like a pretty interesting character. I know that sounds like a horrific thing to say about a serial killer, but it's Ed Kemper. Um, and Edmund Kemper was an American serial killer. His full name was Edmund Emil Kemper III. He was an American serial killer and necrophile who murdered 10 people, including his paternal grandparents and mother. He is noted for his large size, he was 6'9", and for his high intellect, possessing an IQ of 145. I don't think that is particularly high, is it? Okay. Um, his span of crimes was 1964 to 1973, and he would now be 71 years old. I don't know if he's still alive. Is he still alive? Yeah, I guess he's still alive. He was given 8 life sentences um, to run concurrently, and he is imprisoned at the California Medical Facility. Um, but again, in the series Mindhunter, the actor that plays him does a great job, and yeah, it's pretty cool. You started watching, I thought I just saw an orb out of the corner of my eye, but maybe not. We started watching October Faction on Netflix. I'm not familiar with that. You live in a town where a bloody battle took place and also the Trail of Tears, so I don't have to go far. Oh, that's cool. Well, even if you could marry, even if you could get like, even just like outside on the street, you could probably still, like, even if you didn't go like into the actual location, I'm sure you could probably still get some good communication. So here are 10 gruesome facts about Edmund Kemper. He stood 6'9", and he weighed 250 pounds. And they're showing a picture of him here. Look at, he was really enormous. Imagine, like, I mean, that could be scary in itself, having someone that huge sort of like begin to get violent. He was born on December 18th, 1948 in Burbank, California. Edmund Kemper's parents had a turbulent marriage, and following their divorce, his mother continued to be abusive throughout his childhood. He later revealed his mother's hatred stemmed from him looking so like his own father. She would keep her son locked in a cold, dark basement at night, whereas his sister was allowed to play freely upstairs. That's sad. And so, you can see it's abuse begets abuse. Violence begets violence. He stands 6'9" and weighs over 250 pounds. By the time he attended high school, he already stood a foot taller than his classmates. Due to his stature and his high IQ of 145, he was able to overpower his victims both mentally and physically. Investigators labeled him a natural born killer. He mutilated cats during childhood, and I believe that's one of the trifecta. It's like harming animals, bedwetting, and fire starting, I think, was like the three indications in children that could predict them becoming a violent criminal. From a very young age, Kemper targeted and mutilated cats in his neighborhood. I gotta figure out how to. I'm just gonna reduce it. Maybe that'll help. Kemper targeted and mutilated cats in his neighborhood. Former FBI Special Agent John Douglas, and that's the one I read the books about, revealed that Kemper would bury a cat alive, then dig it up before decapitating the creature and impaling its head on a stake. When he was 13 years old, he also killed his pet cat with a machete and hid the remains in his bedroom, which was later discovered by his horrified mother. For young serial killers, often abusing animals is their first shot at releasing tension. They are starting the process known as victim selection and take their frustration out on the only thing often more vulnerable than themselves, an animal. Later in their criminal career, this aggression escalates and they begin to prey on humans. Kemper was no exception. He did seek help from school counselors, but this was not beneficial, as he revealed. When I was in school, I was called a chronic daydreamer, and I saw a counselor twice during junior high and high school, and that was very routine. They didn't ask me a lot of questions about myself, and that was probably the most violent fantasy time I was off into. He killed his grandparents because he was bored. At the age of 15 years old, Kemper ran away from his mother to avoid her abuse and decided to track down his father, but he was rejected by him also. Instead, he was shipped off to live with his paternal grandparents on their farm in the California mountains. Kemper said he lived in complete isolation with his senile grandfather and my grandmother, who thought she had more balls than any man and was constantly emasculating me and my grandfather to prove it. He added, I couldn't please her. It was like being in jail. I became a walking time bomb and I finally blew. It was like that the second time with my mother. In August 1964, Kemper shot his grandparents in her kitchen. Shot his grandmother in her kitchen with a hunting rifle, and when his grandfather returned, he also shot and killed him. Panicked, Kemper then called his mother, and she urged him to tell the police. When the police arrived, he told them, I just wanted to see how it felt to shoot Grandma. He managed to fix the psychiatric results in his favor. Following the murders of his grandparents, Kemper was sent to the California Youth Authority in Atascadero. Psychiatrists found Kemper suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and he was transferred to the state hospital for the criminally insane. Here's a picture of him. So you can kind of see what he looked like at that point. Due to his incredibly high IQ and seemingly pleasant demeanor, he managed to manipulate the hospital staff to allow him to access the assessment devices. He memorized the responses that were used in the assessment process and fixed his own test psychiatric results in his favor. Then, on his 21st birthday, he was released from the hospital with a clean mental health record and was no longer required to return for further monitoring. Kemper was a free man. He returned to California and lived with his mother, but his reign of terror was just about to begin. He used a cunning trick to make his victims feel safe. Following his release from the hospital, Kemper applied to become a state trooper, but he was rejected based on his size. That's weird. So they said he was too big to be a state trooper? That seems kind of strange. You'd think that would be beneficial. With no work prospects on the horizon, he became bored with his existence once again. And as we know from his previous crimes, a bored psychopath is a dangerous thing. Instead, he turned his attention to the high number of female hitchhikers in the area. In 1972, Kemper murdered 18-year-old Mary Ann Pesky, 18-year-old Anita Luchessa, and 15-year-old Aiko Koo. In 1973, he murdered 19-year-old Cindy Shaw, 23-year-old Rosalind Thorpe, and 21-year-old Alice Louis, or Lou, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. He had convinced the young co-eds, who were all in the prime of their lives, that he was not a threat to them by using a cunning trick to get them into his car. Kemper said some girls weren't really convinced. So I looked at my watch and I sighed like, oh, come on, I don't have time. And that convinced them. They had the impression I was in a hurry and didn't have the time to hurt them. Smart, cunning, manipulative. He often kept the heads of his victims. Kemper targeted women as they reminded him of his mother and his overall hatred for women. He said during an interview, "There's a lot that leads into that happening, but that's what happened. They represented not what my mother was, but what she liked, what she coveted, and what was important to her, and I was destroying it." He stabbed or strangled his victims and would later decapitate and dismember the corpse. Several discarded body parts were found, washed up on the shore, and he buried a head in his mother's backyard. The other heads he kept as sickening serial killer trophies. He is famous for the line, "One side of me says, I'd like to talk to her, date her. The other side says, I wonder how her head would look on a stick." This was repeated in the film American Psycho by Christian Bale's character Patrick Bateman. However, the line was wrongfully credited to Ed Gein. He murdered his mother in the most brutal way, and there's a photograph here, so don't look if you're squeamish. Huh? The rage and disdain Kemper felt for his mother finally reached boiling point in April of 1973. On Good Friday, his mother, Clarnell Stage, returned home after a night of drinking and began arguing with her son. Kemper then entered her bedroom and bludgeoned her with a hammer before cutting her throat with a knife. He then decapitated the body and later revealed he pinned the head to the wall and screamed at this for an hour whilst throwing darts. He also confessed to ripping out her voice box, which he deemed appropriate as she bitched and screamed at him so much over the years. After hiding the body parts around the house, his mother's close friend came over to the house and he strangled her to death too. Later he said, "I certainly wanted for my mother a nice, quiet, easy death like everyone else wants." He confessed everything to the police himself. On Easter Sunday 1973, Kemper fled his mother's home following her murder and made his way to Colorado. He realized it would not be long before the crime was linked to him and he rang the police back in Santa Cruz to make a full confession. Initially, the police did not believe his confession or were convinced they had finally caught the feared co-ed killer. Kemper was close friends with the local police, often drinking with them in bars and restaurants. They referred to him as Big Ed and had revealed to him over time a lot about the murders, which allowed him to anticipate their next move in the investigation. They believed this was all one big prank from a friend they had become to know as a friendly giant. Kemper waited for an officer to arrive and arrest him. He was considered legally sane, and when asked what he believed was an appropriate punishment for his crime, he replied, "Death by torture." He terrified FBI agent Robert K. Ressler during an interview. Here's another picture where you can see how big he was. Stanford psychiatrist Donald Lund interviewed Kemper from 1972 to 1973. The guards would lock them both in a small room, and a panic button under the table would alert them when they were finished. Lund said, "I laughed at the notion that he might attack me. He had no reason to do so, and besides, the panic button would bring a squad of deputies instantly." Kemper then reminded Lund, "Has it ever dawned on you that I'm a foot taller and weigh damn near twice what you do?" When Lund hit the panic button, it took 7 minutes for the guards to respond. Former FBI agent Robert K. Ressler had a similar interaction with Kemper. Bundled in the same interview room, Ressler hit the panic button and the guards didn't respond. Noticing his panic, Kemper chillingly told him, "If I went apeshit in here, you'd be in a lot of trouble, wouldn't you? I could screw your head off and place it on the table to greet the guard." The guards entered the room 30 minutes later. Yeah, that's plenty of time to kill them. And last but not least, he's still around today. On November 8th, 1973, Kemper was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life behind bars and is currently imprisoned at California Medical Facility. Since 1977, he has spent his time recording audiobooks and loaned his voice to Flowers in the Attic. I loved that story when I was a teenager. The Glass Key and the Rosary Murders, to name a few. He spent more than 5,000 hours in the recording booth at the prison and has received 2 awards for his efforts. However, the serial killer has no desire to leave prison, as he's quite content living out the rest of his life behind bars. Since 1985, he has waived his right to parole hearings. In 2017, Kemper's lawyer stated, "His feeling is that, and this is his belief, no one's ever going to let him out, and he's just happy. He's just as happy going about his life in prison." Currently aged 70 years old, he will spend the rest of his days in prison, and at the time of writing, in relatively good health. Kemper has outlived his victims by decades. Above is an interview with Kemper, which I strongly recommend. His demeanor is chilling. Yeah, I had never even heard of him. And he was a pretty prolific serial killer. So, I don't know. I found that kind of interesting just because, not that I know every serial killer out there, but I am familiar with several of them. I've heard of them. I've had an interest in true crime and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I was just kind of shocked. I'd never heard of him before. Crazy stuff. But once again, if you do get a chance to check out Mindhunter, I highly recommend it, especially the scene with Charlie Manson. It was really good. So, yeah. I think that's probably about all I've got for tonight. That's about an hour and a half stream for me. I think that's long enough. I'm starting to get a little hungry. It's 10:30 here. We had a pretty nice day today. It was sunny, kind of warming up. Still a little cool, but warming up. So that was nice. I'm hoping it's going to continue to get a little bit warmer. I'd like to get outside and get a little bit of sun on my skin. Are you? You're getting hungry too, Wayne? I have an idea for something to make. Yeah, I saw. All right, guys. Yeah, I think that's it for tonight. No Spirit Box tonight. No Sims. I'm gonna try to do the Sims tomorrow. Forgive my procrastination, but what can you do? It does take a lot of a lot of focus and time and research, and I just been busy. So yeah, tomorrow night, Sims. It's gonna happen. So if you're interested in that case, be here tomorrow night. And I hope everybody has a great night. Hope you have a good sleep. Thanks for coming in and joining me. Oh, good, Mary. I'm glad. And sleep well, Mary. Hope you feel better. And yeah, my appetite is never affected by stuff like that. Um, so sorry I ruined your appetite, but it is interesting stuff. And it's sad too. Like I know it's hard to sort of feel compassion for people like that, but it does just go to show like abuse and that kind of trauma, it can twist people. It really can. So, yeah. All right, guys. Have a great night. Don't let the demons bite. And be good, but not too good. And tell your loved ones everything you want to say. Don't hold anything back because you never know which day is your last day or theirs. And until tomorrow, I bid you adieu. Thanks for joining me. Good night, you guys. Sleep well. And let's chat tomorrow about the Sims murder case, cold case, which I think should be solved by now. So I'll see you then. And I am out. Poof. Good night.